Okay. I'd like to open the meeting at 6:30. And Jack, would you give the flags through?
In honor of our country, I'd like to start with the pledge of allegiance to the flag. Everybody? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jack. Roll call, Stephanie.
Councilmember Bonner.
Here.
Councilmember Aaron Krantz.
Here.
Councilmember Green.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Warren.
Here.
And Mayor Haggerty.
Here. Okay, I need a motion and a second for the approval of the council agenda.
I move to approve it.
Second.
Second.
All approved, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, do you want to read the little public comments then?
Any person wishing to address the City Council on any matter on this agenda is asked to complete a speaker request form available on the back counter. The completed form is to be submitted to the City Clerk prior to the individual being heard by the City Council. City Council has adopted a time limitation of 3 minutes per person. If you are commenting on an agenda item, your comments will be heard at the time the particular item is scheduled on the agenda.
Thank you. Okay, at this point, now that you're all comfortable, we are going to recess to closed session. So if everyone would please step out.
Actually, we're stepping out.
Pardon?
May I suggest we go upstairs so the public can remain here? Stephanie's been nice enough to say she can open the conference room B for you.
All right, we will, you can stay where you're seated. We will go upstairs to the conference room. This meeting, do I close the meeting at this time or just
No,
recess?
just recess.
Okay.
You serve snacks.
There'll be a vendor by in a little bit, you better have only things.
Okay, I call the meeting to order, 5 minutes of 8. Back to order. Okay, I would like the ad hoc committee member pro tem Warren and Ward Green to give a verbal report.
I did a lot of talking, Larry. You want to give the verbal report or you want me to?
I lost my voice.
Oh, please. Okay, item number 8 is a report of the Ad hoc Reimbursement Committee regarding Councilmember Haggerty's compliance with current reimbursement policy throughout 2016. We don't have a staff report on this because this was all a result of, you may remember the last meeting we had, we were discussing the reimbursement policy. Larry Green and I are on an ad hoc committee that we had to review those policies and the procedures in place to determine if improvements needed to be made. When we started looking at the policy deeply, one of the things we needed to do was also find out what the procedures were for moving through the system. And in doing so, we did an internal review of everybody's expense reports and what were the requirements, what were people asked to do, what needed to be where, and we discovered some anomalies, in particular a high average on Don Haggerty's expense reports. And there were enough of them that drew concern. We need to bring it to the City Council. And we can discuss from here. Do you have anything to add, Larry?
No, actually, it was an audit that had gone back to January of 16 forward. And so very extensive as far as what was filed, how it was filed, what was signed, what was not signed, and receipts. every council member, their receipts were also looked at to make sure there was consistency. And as Pro Tem has said, that we did have one council member that had inconsistencies pretty regular through her reports. So that's why we're here.
Okay, we do have a number to talk about. I'm not sure how detailed we need to go. I don't know if we are supposed to slip to public comment. This is, we have to discuss where we go from here as a council. There were considerable errors. We are still reviewing the procedures. We're still reviewing where this goes from here. The fact that so many of these were allowed to go past our immediate review and onto accounting without the documentation that was required, and then requested, and then signed back over to accounting, approving that those things get paid, is something else that we are also looking at. We'll be going deeper into the policies and the procedures to make sure that this doesn't happen anymore. Where do we take this from here?
Well, I think we should point out that the documents supporting this are public.
Yes.
Summarized very briefly for 2016 for those months for which reimbursement was submitted and processed for Mayor Haggerty. We found a lack of compliance in each month for which it was submitted. Whether the submission has been remedied at this point in time is, at this point, probably not necessarily relevant. The omissions were of several kinds. There were failure to sign the form, there were requests for reimbursement in excess of the maximum allowed, and in failure to attach receipts.
Anything else?
Okay. If that's all from you three, we'll have a city council discussion at this time. I suppose since I'm the star, I should be able to discuss a little something here. I'm not a fraudulent person. I wouldn't take a dime from a millionaire. I have always been very proud of my integrity above all else. And at times it's hurt me because I didn't go with the flow and I didn't go with what was popular, but I went with what I felt was right. When I was working, the many years I was working, I had a secretary that handled my expense reports. I didn't have to worry about them. When I was on the board for that 6 years, we didn't have expense reports. It came out of your pocket. And so I didn't have to worry about it. And when I came here, I didn't fill out a form the first year. I don't believe I claimed anything. And then I decided I would. And I did not see a signature. I think other people would be confused if they looked at it. I didn't have anybody sit me down and say, okay, you filled this out wrong, you gotta fix this, and you gotta fix this, and you gotta fix this. I put my name on the top where it said your name and the date, and they have a set amount, and they tell you if you want a phone from the city, you can have one. If you want to use your own, you get an allowance for it. Well, I already had a phone and I didn't want to have two phones, so I said I'll just use mine. I'm on a family plan with my daughter. She gets the bill. I give her a check every month. So I don't have a bill. I've never seen a bill. I pay her $75 a month. You're allowed, what is it, 60 a month, so no big deal. On the internet, I looked at I had Verizon, which switched over to Frontier, and it was a nightmare. It's automatically taken out of my bank, so I don't look at it. I don't pay much attention. And the first one I turned in, I got contacted and one of the girls in the office said, you need some backup. Well, what do you need? Well, we need a copy of your bills. So I made a copy of my Frontier bill. Not all 4 pages front and back. I made a copy of the front page. And I went over and handed it to one of the girls and it went away. I told her as far as the phone was concerned, I didn't have a bill. I'd be happy to make a copy of the check. I paid my daughter. I could get a bank statement showing it was cash. It has written on it, phone. So they said, well, we'll get back to you. And I was told that was okay. So I was giving those. I'm not a great forms person. I'm not a detail person. That's why I'm not on the finance committee. That isn't my thing. I was told, apparently, nobody was checking these things particularly because certainly nobody told me anything. And all of a sudden, a couple of weeks ago, I get a call and said, you have to come over. We've got some problems with your expense account. Okay. I don't put in, by the way, for mileage when I go on anything. I go to ribbon cuttings and I go to other city council meetings and I go to all kinds of stuff. Never put in for mileage for it. Pay for it out of my pocket. So I came in and Aaron said, we found out we've been auditing your records and your internet is only $30 a month and you've been getting $40. Okay, so what do we do? And he said, well, it's been 10 months, so you need to give me a check. I sat down and wrote him a check for the money I owed him. And how did this happen? And I looked, well, my bill said 76. I never looked at the breakdown in the back. On the back, it says internet $30, and it says some kind of funny tax thing, and that's another 20, and then there's something else, it's another 15 or whatever. I never looked at that breakdown. So when I realized it was $30, fine, that's good. I'm good with that. So I gave him a check for $100. Well, then I got a call a few days later, we have another problem. And apparently, they had, when they did their audit, they found that I had been reimbursed twice in January, once at the beginning of January and once, I think, towards the end of January. I don't know if I filled out 2 forms, put the wrong date on. I don't know if I put January on, but it was for December or it was for February. I have no idea at this point what it was. I have asked that they go back and check my records to see if the 2 payments in January, one of them was something that I was supposed to get for December or February, and that is being looked at. Meanwhile, I gave another check for $100 to reimburse them for that, just to make sure that everything would be square. So anything I have been asked for, I have given. I'm sorry, this is a very humiliating thing for somebody that's always valued their integrity. So anything I did was unintentional, out of ignorance probably, but nobody told me different when I was doing it. There's no excuse for my doing it wrong, other than the fact that I just didn't, to me, any expenses you have that are, I didn't consider this the type of expense that was a big deal. It was a stipend that was given to you, if you want a phone, fine, if you, whatever. I never thought of this being a big deal. I have since been well educated. Apparently it's a very big deal, especially to some people. And fine, I'll do it. I'll do whatever's required, and I'll do it. I'll fix any problem that's there. I'm not trying to steal money from the city in any way. And I really resent any implication of that. I resent the way this agenda was worded. It was not worded by anyone here, it was worded by an individual who is no longer here, who does some of our work for us. And I felt it was very vindictive the way it was written. It was not kind, it was accusatory, and I'm very upset about that. But I have fixed any problems I've been told about. I will fix any problems in the future. And I guess that's all I have to say.
Are there further member comments, council member comments? No further discussion?
I don't have any speaker request cards.
Thank you, Vicki, for taking over.
We have to turn in a slip to say something?
Yes.
Yes.
You don't have to have one.
You don't have to, you can just
Would you like to ask
give
for
your name and
public
address.
comment?
Yeah, comment to there.
I'm sure the mayor's going to ask for them, right?
If there are public comments, please come up and fill out a slip. Well, do we need slips?
No, they do not.
Okay, just identify yourself. No.
Well, Don, I understand where you're coming from, and I don't think anybody in this community thinks that you're a crook. You've put a lot of effort into our community, and I think that it would be very simple if everything was all laid out, but having served in your position myself when we started the city, some things pop up here and there. I would like to make a recommendation that if the laws now probably are a lot different than they were when I was on the council. And I think that it would be safer if you people would have your expense accounts every month checked by the controller. That way, none of you will get in trouble. It's easy to get in trouble nowadays, and I think it would be good for the controller to point something out before it goes any further. You're talking about going back in January and all that kind of stuff. That shouldn't be necessary. I think that, all five of you put a lot of effort into our city. And for what you get paid, and I know I'm $300, I remember when I was making 20 meetings a month, for God's sakes, for $300. And that's ridiculous. And I think that you guys deserve what you get. And little things like this, and I consider this a little thing. Yeah, it's against the law. So easy for you to have somebody check all your accounts so that none of you get in trouble on it. And I'd like to see you start that. I mean, I know you haven't checked, but maybe there's a different program that you can make sure that everybody turns in their expense account to the controller and let him check it over so that you know immediately he can call you and say, hey, this is outlined or whatever. Because it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to Don. It's embarrassing to anybody that creates a problem. And so let's try and work it out and go from there.
Hey Jack, can I make a comment? This process was not taken very lightly. It's taken very seriously, as you guys can imagine. There are checks and there are balances in our system. Unfortunately, they got overlooked at this time. Those are there, they're well identified. That's one of the things that we had to take into consideration because by law, those have to be in place. It can't just be freewheeling. And so we do have those in place.
Well, that's good to hear. Evidently, it didn't work too good.
Vicki, would you like to comment?
I only wanted to also, we don't have to address the public comments, but I do want to take exception. We are looking beyond what we have. We are looking at what the newest information is out there. We do have that. We all take ethics training. We all are up to speed on this, so it has been reviewed. The policies are being taken seriously, and we will have a more succinct policy in the very near future.
You need to finish public comment, there may be other comments.
Okay.
Yeah, can I speak public comment, please?
Just a second. Are there any other council comments at this time?
No, I think we need to hear the public comment,
Oh,
and then
okay,
if
then
the
we'll come
council
back.
wants to have a
Barry
discussion.
Talbot.
Thank you. Yeah, Barry Talbot. I know the council has taken this issue seriously, and I know from past experience as mayor and on the council that the expense accounts are pretty simple, they're pretty straightforward. We do have clear rules on them. I'm a little bit disappointed that some confusion may have somehow occurred in that. I can't understand it. Oversight is not, and ignorance, I don't think, is something excusable. I think not looking at a bill and understanding a simple telephone bill doesn't make any sense to me. So I question some judgments that were made. And I don't think it's something simple, really. It makes me concerned about how detail-oriented you are on other important things for our city. And I've seen some issues in that in prior discussions and positions you've taken with fire department issues and things like that, where it was clear you didn't have a very good understanding of it. And
In
that
your
causes me.
opinion. In your opinion.
No, sure. But it was clear to me that you didn't have a good understanding of it. So that's just an example of the concerns that I have. And I hope the council works to do something besides just talk about what just occurred. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Who else? John?
Mayor, council members, Canyon Lake was the shot heard across the county as a city many years ago, and that was with Frank Kessler. And none of you were on there. Betsy was the only one that was around at the time. And that reverberated around the county. A man who used a city credit card one time and charged something, came into the office and made the payment back. He was censured, removed from all committees, and all credit cards were taken. It was a shot heard around the county. Every city then took the credit cards away. We did. We went through all kinds of procedures. What we have on the books today is a rule for a travel policy that was done in 2008 or 2007, I'm not sure exactly which, but it's been in effect for a long time. And it's quite clear if the council reads the documents that you have. Unfortunately, this and prior councils do not like to read your own rules or abide by them. And I think this and the past council, not this council, but the past council, and staff did a horrible job in doing what needed to be done. You're a victim, yes, and so are others, and so is the city. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it was wrong, Don, not intentional. Frank's thing, he didn't intend to embezzle or do anything to the city. He used it improperly, and he got stuck for it. It was an embarrassment. Immediately taken off of every committee and all the explanations that went on with it. You have rules that are in existence today that you have to fill them out yourself. It has to be done every month. But you have a council member that's did one in 7 months. That's against the rules. We had a council member last year that did 1.5 years. And that was okay. And so staff didn't do what it should do. Now, the problem is selective enforcement of what's been going on with the expense accounts. And obviously, you made a mistake, and And that's unfortunate. But so is it for Frank, and so is it for a lot of people. And unfortunately, I don't think, as I said in your last meeting, that what you're proposing as a new rules makes any difference. Not if you don't pay attention to the old rules that you had, not if you don't read the rules that you have, not that you don't pay attention to get things done. But when somebody wants to bring things up, then you automatically push them away because, kind of like the POA, we have rules, but they don't pertain to us. We have rules, but they don't pertain to us. Thank you. My 3 minutes are up, I guess. I will let you say it this time.
Yeah. Are there any other comments, public? Not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Okay, back to the council for discussion. And I will start by saying I had my little come to Jesus with all of this. Obviously, it's far more important than I thought it was. I'm kind of a forest person, not a tree person, a big picture person, not a little picture person. I don't do details well. I think broader. Maybe that concerns you, John, as mayor, that I'm a big thinker, not a little thinker, but I think we need both. And certainly this has brought to light where the problems are. They have been clearly identified and they are being rectified. I can assure you of that. The procedures in the future will be a no-fail procedure. There is no way things will be able to slip through the crack unless everybody on the staff is a thief and they all colluded together. I think it's done something that was good. We have alerted everyone that they are to follow the rules that we have precisely and carefully, including me. I discovered for the first time tonight where I was supposed to sign the form. There was a little blue line that said signatures, dates, manager, and something else. And under that it said for office use only, and then there's these spaces. I thought that was for the office. I was told tonight, no, that's where you're supposed to sign it. Well, it's the littlest thing you ever saw in there. I couldn't even, I beg. It would be hard for me to put my name in there, and I never knew it was there. So these kinds of things we need to be educated on. Each new council person needs to be educated on and tracked and told when they're not doing something right immediately so that they don't have to go through this kind of a humiliation. But I do want to assure the audience that the problems are being fixed. And when you compare, John, what I did to what Frank Kessler did, it kind of made me laugh because he used a credit card to take a cruise and spent a lot of money gambling and knowing full well that it was not to be used for that purpose. And when he got caught, he came in and paid the money back. I think this is a little different than that. So I kind of hate to have you compare the two. They're certainly not equal. I don't think this is going to shock Southern California because I didn't put some backup stuff on my internet that was the correct backup, or my phone, or whatever the problem is. I assure you it won't happen in the future. But to reassure the public that this problem has been thoroughly reviewed, is still being reviewed and worked on, and is being fixed or is fixed. Anybody else have anything they want to say? Jordan.
I've been on the council now this is my 9th year, and I think one of the things that Mr. Zeiss was referring to probably included me. When I first started here on the council, I got in a bad habit of turning in a report for my internet. That's the only thing that I've ever claimed, other than, I guess, a conference that I've gone to. And maybe 2 or 3 months before I would turn in my bill, and I would get reimbursed for it. So it was a bad habit that I got into. Now those rules have changed. If I don't turn my expense report in when I'm supposed to, I'm not gonna get paid. So shame on me, it's going to cost me. But the rules they weren't relaxed, so I just took advantage of a situation that, why am I gonna turn a bill in for $40? I can wait 3 months and get $120 instead. And I wasn't reprimanded for it. I was told about it a couple of times, saying it's a lot easier for bookkeeping if you turn in things every month. Well, I haven't been in business for as many years as I did. I should have understood that, but I didn't. I still took the easy way out, and I don't think I caused anybody any problems. If I did, I would have been told. But my forms were always filled out properly and signed the way they were supposed to be. So if that's a confession, I've just made one.
Well, Don, I wanted to
Randy?
comment. I was in the city council from 2010 until 2014, and the policy in place then is no different than the policy that's there today. And I was chair of the finance committee 2 of the 4 years. And yes, we asked the monthly expense reports to be done monthly, a maximum of 2 months. Now, maybe it got abused, but that was still a purpose, because it's better when you're management finance, you have current information, not old information 6 months or later. I just want to ask Dawn, Mayor, one question. Was there any time where you were asked for backup information and you refused?
No.
I didn't think so.
Anytime I was alerted that there was a problem, I came in and took care of it immediately. Any other council discussion? Okay, we move on to A, which is consider and possibly impose penalties for non-compliance as allowed by state law and current city policy. Would you like to comment on that, Beth? Or
State law allows penalties for intentional falsification of records and misuse of public funds. The council in the past has taken a variety of remedies against council members whom they feel acted inappropriately for the office. Those have varied depending on what was in front of them. It is at council's discretion and generally within their power to determine if a penalty is appropriate and what that penalty should be.
any other comments? What do we do at this point then? There's no discussion. Do I have a motion to take any action?
Are there any council comments on this regarding how we go forward? It is, although a minor issue to some, it is one of great detail and great concern to others. I don't know that we can go forward without doing it, with doing nothing. So I would like to, sorry, I don't mean to disrespect the audience, but basically what this is we're having a city council meeting and you're here. So I'm asking the city council to step up and make comments on where we go from here. Not nod and mute, but make comments, join the conversation. We owe it to Canyon Lake.
And I would remind the council that I did repay any monies that, in fact, there's $100 there that is questionable that I might even have the check canceled or get back, which I'm not looking for, but I have made corrections for anything that I was made aware of that was wrong.
Well, researching this wasn't easy, guys. Yeah, my mic's on. Everybody can hear me? Okay. We tried to use all the supporting documentation that is required and signatures. And unfortunately, Don, yours did not meet the standards as the other council members on the council here. We did see where finance did make notes. The documentation wasn't available and requesting documentation. Some of it was later, some of it was referencing your phone bill versus checks. So there were, whether intentional or not, there were a lot of anomalies in the process. And that's where we spent this considerable last couple of days reviewing. So that's kind of on the record to make that clear, that there were significant things that happened. Whether intentional or not, the forms are pretty well outlined. We did review